AskReddit by CR 24752. What's the weirdest thing a medical professional has casually said to you? I live in Ireland. The surgeon who replaced my hip is also a farmer. The day before I was due to be discharged, he came in on his rounds. He said, I may or may not see you tomorrow. It depends on the dog. So I said, okay, what's up with the dog? He told me the dog broke his leg and was having it set tomorrow, but he wasn't sure what time, so I said, sure, bring in the owl dog and I'll mind him. This is rural Ireland, bear in mind, and I was in the convalescent area of the hospital by then. And shortly after breakfast he arrived in, with the dog, lovely border collie with his leg in plaster. He stayed with me watching TV till the doc was finished replacing another hip and was ready to discharge me and we could all go home. It could only happen in Ireland. There's an ophthalmologist on TikTok who plays a bunch of different doctors, and my favorite is rural medicine. People pay him in crops or other non-monetary goods, and the only MRI's at the Texaco shop. Dr. Gorkom Flecken, https://www.tiktok.com/comrade drglorcomflecken $HG59OX4JOQK &A1 When I was like 20, my endocrinologist took a good look at me and asked, are you okay with your face being so asymmetrical? I had never really noticed it before, but boy have I noticed it since. Thanks for the complex, asshole. When I was 12 I had a dentist say, hold on, I think I might be counting wrong. You shouldn't have those yet. Okay, never mind, those are definitely your wisdom teeth. Your mouth is just huge, I guess. They said it was the youngest they've ever seen anyone get their wisdom teeth. They called in every dentist in the building to come look at my mouth. You're a prodigy. This is no joke. I had a medical professional say, I used to be a heroin addict so I'm pretty good at this, as she was putting in my IV Ompheo. I laughed so hard. The plasma place I went to in college seemed to only employ ex-junkies. They were masters of their craft. This is the part where all your dignity goes out the window. I'm going to tape your penis to your abdomen. They did this to me along with my nads during butthole surgery. Fun times. I had a really weird throat issue. It didn't hurt, it just felt like something was stuck in there. I had been a vegetarian for years at this point and the doctor said I likely had a chicken bone stuck in there. Wouldn't take no for an answer. Haven't you heard? Humans will unknowingly eat an average of 7 chickens in our lifetimes due to them crawling into our mouths while we sleep. Science facts. Following a checkup, we're going to have to remove your testicles. Just kidding. You should have seen your face. Lol, do you go to Dr. Leo Spaceman? After destroying my knee riding BMX at 17, the emergency surgeon said, wow, really fucked that up. 10 years later and another serious knee injury from riding, I saw the same surgeon. He did a great job on the first one. First words out of his mouth were, I remember you. Fucked up the other one. Huh. I like this guy. Back pain. I'm not young. Doctor just said basically, well, that's just life for you. You're tall. So I'm just going to end up being a hunched over 90-year-old? Lol, you're not going to see 90. Pardon? How many tall old people have you ever seen? Oh, yeah, okay. How tall are you? I'm a 6 feet tall woman and I think about this a lot. There are no tall old ladies. Just little olds. Edit. Everyone chiming in to give me hope of a long life. I love you. If you don't mind, I'd like to show everyone pictures of your tonsils. According to her, I had the most disgusting tonsils she had ever seen in her years in the business, and gosh darn she wanted to show them off. I had a similar experience at a dentist. I apparently had a very rare problem and even the oldest doctor only had seen this 2 times in his life. For the next few sessions all other doctors were called in and he showed them it. I was fine with it, but it was an odd situation sitting on the dentist chair while 4 doctors and a few nurses were around you and looked very interested what will happen next. So I was the real life example for a textbook lecture. You just hang on right there, we will get you a wheelchair and admitted to the hospital. We have to do a colonoscopy, but don't worry, I will knock you out before sticking a camera up your ass. My GI doc was named, no lie, Dr. Stiff. After my last colonoscopy, he told me in the recovery room, well, that's the last time you're getting stiffed. I'm retiring end of the year. A nurse of some kind took my blood pressure. He said what the numbers were. I asked, is that good? He said, I'm not qualified to give you a professional opinion on the matter. You should ask your doctor. I asked, but like, unprofessionally, is that good? He said, unprofessionally? Well, in my purely personal opinion that I am sharing with you as an individual and not in any medical or official capacity whatsoever, you should buy stronger deodorant. Edit. For clarity, I was definitely stinky. I was homeless at the time. I was well aware of this fact. If you're worried you're a little funky, don't. You would almost assuredly notice if you smelled really bad. He was looking out for you, my man. My son is about your age and single. Do you want his number? Gynecologist. So while checking out your lady parts, Doc was like, you know who would really like this? My oldest, David. DR, you look great. How did you lose weight? Some eating disorder, anorexia. DR, well, keep doing whatever you are doing. It's working great. Oh man. I had a family member who was dropping weight and everyone was telling her to keep doing whatever she was doing. She was doing crystal meth. Thankfully quit it soon. She couldn't afford it. So yeah, none of use that phrase anymore, with anyone. I told an OBGYN during an exam my husband and I had just started trying to get pregnant and she said, are you tracking your cycle or just fucking all time? Hearing that come out of a small elderly black woman was freaking hilarious. She was close to retirement and had zero filter, miss her. My OBGYN told me that I had a wonderful uterus, just after he commented how cute my socks were. My previous OBGYN came through my line at my old job. For some reason I blanked on who he was. Like I knew him, but for the life of me I couldn't remember how. He saw I was struggling and said, don't remember me? I'll give you a hint. Last time I saw you, you were in my office with your ankles in the air. Loudly, in front of a line of little old ladies fresh from church, wanting to buy flowers from the garden center. He was an amazing doc and figured out what was wrong with me when no other doc could, but in that moment the embarrassment could have killed me, lol. Being a knowledgeable doctor and being socially inept often go hand in hand XD. I had a doctor tell me that my metabolism is so slow that I would do very well in an apocalypse. My doctor told me this when he noticed my chronic low body temperature and asked me other questions about weight gain and pooping frequency. He said some people are just built to hibernate. You're just like hibernating all the time. This was in the same conversation where he diagnosed me with a sleep disorder too. Can't even hibernate properly. I was getting my blood drawn for a mono test back around 2006. The older lady nurse asked me what sort of music I liked. I figured she was making small talk to get my mind off the needles, so I rattled off a few bands I'd been listening to. One of them happens to be Postal Service. She says, oh, I know that one. I reply, yeah, it's the same lead singer as Death Cab for Cutie. She says, I know. He's my son. When my girlfriend was in the ICU, one of the nurses sorta shrugged and said dismissively, she's gonna die anyhow. She should have. Her kidneys had shut completely down and she was so swollen that her tongue wouldn't fit in her mouth. We were making the decision whether to continue life support or not. She didn't die. A month and a half later she walked out of the hospital and into my car for the ride home. When I was in the hospital with COVID, my nurse told me to either breathe or die, but I needed to choose because she was busy. Wow. You have the flattest feet I've ever seen. Couldn't help thinking about the Barbie movie lol. I asked my cardiologist I had growing up what the goop was they put on before echoes. He said, "Yaks not." I believed him for way too long. That was hilarious. It made me laugh. I probably would have laughed throughout the whole act. If you ever tried to have a baby, the kid would snap your pelvis in two and rip you in half, said by my gynecological surgeon. He said it in the most casual manner. I was mortified. Eater. Thank goodness I was there to get a hysterectomy, haha. I honestly think there's a thing with surgeons' brains where they're around it so much that they don't get what's normal to the rest of us after a while. You have pretty blood. Followed by I bet you have heavy periods. Unlocked a memory of everyone who takes my blood out commenting on the color of it. Apparently it's very dark red. Morizo than normal. I didn't notice because I do my best to keep it inside me at all times. Was a teen and seeing my pediatrician. There was a baby or infant in another room wailing its head off. After a few minutes, my doc said, "Don't mind him, we just lopped his leg off." Lol, that reminds me of a doctor I went to get skin tags removed. He was literally just using scissors, so after he was done I looked like I had wrestled with a cheese grater. I'm trying not to yell, but one good one made me say FCK really loud. I instantly apologized and he said, "Oh no worry, my 5-year-old says worse." OMG, it looks like ground beef. A doctor looking into my extremely painful strep-ridden throat. He gave me a Z pack from his stash there and then and told me to take the first one now. It was bad. Reminds me of one time I was at my pediatrician as a teen because of a persistent cough. She wanted to listen to my lungs, and halfway through my first inhale, she just blurted out bronchitis. Like damn, my lungs must have sounded textbook if she got it that fast. Wait, did he say he wanted to be awake? When I was in the operating room waiting to get my appendix removed, I met the anesthesiologist and asked to him make sure I didn't wake up in the middle of it. I didn't want to be aware of what was going on. He counted me down and right before it all went black, he said this to the surgeon. I remember thinking you asho, and then it all went dark. I don't envy anesthesiologists. I mean, they always ask their patients to tell something about themselves to distract them and never hear the end of it. Walk-in clinic. Doctor was an old man, maybe 80. He asked where I live and I said across the street, over JJ's Street Meats restaurant. Street meat? We used to call prostitutes that. Okay, roll up your sleeve, we'll do your blood pressure now. I'll take a sidewalk pastrami. While removing my wisdom tooth, do you snore? I replied yes. You should go to the doctor about that. He was right, I have sleep apnea. Do you swallow? He meant to ask if I have a hard time swallowing pills or not. OMG, the school nurse asked me this when I was 10 and I had no idea what she meant, so I was like, oh yeah, and she handed me adult Tylenol, which I promptly popped in my mouth and chewed up like usual kids medicine. It tasted horrendous, the most bitter thing I've ever eaten, and only after I told my mom about it did I learn what the nurse meant by "can you swallow pills?" I snapped both of my Achilles while finishing off a set of heavy leg presses with calf extensions. I didn't close it all of the way and the sled crashed down on me, pinning my legs next to my head. Yes, I was dumb not to use the safety pins. They weren't there, they constantly disappeared to other machines, so I was lazy for not using them and paid the price. The doctor looked at my scans and said these are mirror images of each other. You must have good form. Optimist doc is an optimist.